Stop the cap.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this message. This is from a woman who she's actually from the old Gen X days, and so it's been I don't know. I think the last time she contacted Captain Solo was probably like 9 years ago or something like that. In any event, um, so she wrote an email, and I posted it on my page on my community tab, and I'm gonna I I got the gist of what was being said from Captain Solo, and then she responded in my comment section, and then I told Captain Solo to send me the message that she sent to him, so that I can address what I'm about to do is I'm about to walk through it and go through each point for point, because I did the other previous video, talking about you got to be present, especially when you're talking about the training of boys. But there was a couple things in this email that she sent. There were a couple things that I took slight issue with, and I'm just gonna walk through it. Hopefully this video will be short. You know how I tend to say that, and then the video ends up being longer. But this starts off and it says, "Hi, Captain. This is the proposal I submit." Let me put the microphone closer to me. It says, "This is the proposal I submitted to the town hall. Kindly review when you have time." I don't know what town hall she's talking about. "My strategies are an aggressive attempt to reduce the influence of media and shape the minds, of the future." And let me say this just right off top. I'm not the biggest fan of when women try to come up with community solutions. I'm not saying that they can't, but especially community solutions that pertain to black men and boys, because women typically think that the things that work for women are going to work for men. And reading, what I'm about to continue reading, it has a very boomer feel to it. It has a very ideological, wishful thinking type of feel to it. In terms of like it's kind of short on details, and this is the problem that I have with religious people. Um, it's the people who like to focus on value systems, completely ignoring the fact that that the problems are rooted in economics. They're not rooted in the values. You can't even maintain the value system if all you're going to have is a bunch of broke people. Like Amos Wilson said, if you have manhood training programs, or are you giving young men a different orientation, and at the end of the day they're still unemployed or underemployed, sooner or later they're going to throw out those values. And again, the danger of having young men who can't get their lives started and not be gainfully employed, and all you got is boomer talk, and you're wagging your finger, and you're still on the old model of like there's some place to go where you can go and work and get full medical and dental and work there for the next 30 years and get a pension and retire. And that's not the reality out here. The men eventually, since what you're saying is not in league with reality, they're going to be just left aloof, and eventually they will cannibalize the community. The men will cannibalize the community, and then you'll have other problems, single motherhood, all that, because there's no stability, coming from the men. Everything just breaks down. And what I hate about the value system people and the religious people is they always want to put it in the context of some good or evil bullshit. I'm like, there's no money here. There's no money. That's where the root of your problem is. And again, when it comes to your average everyday, American, like they've been totally convinced that everything is about good and evil and values and the sweet twinkle of Jesus in your eye and all that other bullshit. I'm like, at the end of the day, if you, I don't know how many times I gotta say it, if you do not have gainful employment for young men, and that's the hardest component to create, your community will crumble, your society will crumble, everything will crumble. But you have these people that are like out here throwing these, religious and spiritual and social and value system life rafts out there thinking that they can keep, things afloat. Again, it goes back to the Titanic. That's 5 compartments. What about the pumps? The pumps only buy you time. You know what I mean? But again, the water will continue to go over the bulkheads, and go back and back, until the freaking ship sinks. You know, it's like, got Ishmael over in the corner. This ship can't sink. She's made of iron, sir. I can assure you she can and she will. It is a mathematical certainty. What I'm saying? Sir Andrews went right to the math in the Titanic movie, back in 2000. He went right to the math. He didn't present some other analogy or go to prayer or some wishful. This is the engineer. This is the man that made the ship. And a lot of you really don't want to focus on, just how important that money in the hands of men really is when it comes to all of the value stuff that you want to, uphold. All of that requires money. Y'all want to literally think that if a man has these or holds these value systems, that somehow is going to change what's going on in the air, change what's going on in the universe, and economic opportunities will suddenly rain down. Or you all think that, well, there's fluctuations in the economy, things go up and things go down, and you got to maintain your values and just fight your way through it, and eventually, things will come back again. Okay, but what we're looking at is you got to look at the overall trends. We're looking at unprecedented times. Okay, where the average price of a home keeps going up, but the wages, are not going up. Right? You have people delaying marriage. People aren't getting married until they're, they enter their 30s, where again, from the 50s all the way until, the 90s, and that's when it jumped to about 25, 26, people started getting married. So you have this delay. Even when it comes to, I can approach it from the other end, like when talking about, retirement for older people, especially the Gen Xers. A lot of them, they're going to be working for the rest of their life. They're not going to be able to comfortably retire. That whole 30 and out is gone. You know what I mean? So I could approach it from either end. To address some of the older people, that are after the boomers, that still have these stupid value system, churchy beliefs in their head as it pertains to what's going on in this country. It's about the money. You see all the strikes that are going on. It's about the money. And African Americans have a very, unique problem because we've had to deal with racism and white supremacy and economic discrimination, on top of, what's generally going on, in the country with, the business class and the proletariat, which is they don't want to pay anybody. They want to bring in the immigrants and have them, basically work for next to nothing. And it's like this race to the bottom of not paying men not being gainfully employed. Then people want to bitch about why families are falling apart, and then you have the children that are dysfunctional, right? All these problems have been exacerbated in the black community. We're the canaries in the coal mine, and now they're just, I'm gonna say beginning to impact the white community, but it's becoming more prevalent in the white community. But it's the same math. Men not being gainfully employed, men not being able to start their lives as early as as previous generations were and purchase homes and stuff like that. You're not going to get stability out of that. And then again, there's a price to pay for the society as a whole, because that lack of stability is going to create and produce a subsequent generation, of young men and young women that are just going, they're just going to be off the walls. This is why we see all the smash and grab shit like that was coming. That was coming. When you gotta think that when I was, like 10 years ago, all these 20-year-olds and late teens that you're seeing, they were 7 years old and 10 years old, when we were having these conversations, when J.R. Ryder was screaming, SWP, I defeated you. You know what I mean? Like all those people that you see up there tearing shit up, are the children that were babies, You know what I mean? Like when, not babies literally, but they were literally elementary age children when we first came online. So anyway, let me just get on with it and read through this. But these are I'm just laying out like some the fundamental issue I have with the people that think like this, and it's very close to how white conservatives think. My strategies are an aggressive attempt to reduce the influence of media and shape the minds of the future. In essence, I believe that we need to address the value system within the community so that we can build productive families and businesses for the future. Notice how she starts with the value system and doesn't start with the economics, right? And this doesn't start with the money, starts with the value system, right? And I'm like, okay, let all these men out here be all about Jesus and the church and value and all this righteousness and all this other crap that you throw up. I'm like, you still haven't addressed the money part. You know what I mean? And again, we hear all this talk from the black women, and the man's got to make, six figures in order for me to submit and all this other stuff. And so the role, that they won't play, because, again, as long the way that they look at it, the man's not powerful enough to make me, submit or cooperate or any of that, which I already don't think, they trying to do that any goddamn way. Like I said with Ebony K. Williams, whether a man is broke, you're going to be in LA, or if a man has money, you're still going to be in LA. Continuing, if the community is being bombarded with the negative images of themselves influencing behavior, we need to work towards receiving compensation for the damage, it is causing the community. So basically, she's saying that we need to basically sue. And Cap already talked about this. He's like, you get into wanting to take money, food out of the mouths of these artists because of what they're putting out there, as opposed to attacking the record labels that put this stuff out there. And the Meek Mills has talked about that. He gets paid more money for putting out street shit than he would putting out anything else out there, right? One of the members of Bone Thugs and Harmony talked about this, and record labels having some affiliation or association with the prison industrial complex. I don't know, what I mean, but I'm saying the part here, yes, is the music harmful? Yes, absolutely, the music is harmful, but you're not addressing the root of the problem. It's art imitating life. Now, when the corporations get involved and the record labels get involved, now you can have, life imitating art, which is what I think a lot of people think is the situation. But I'm saying, again, like I talk about when it comes to the blues, were is a genre of sad music, songs like, Billie Holiday, Strange Fruit, because that's what black people were experiencing. You think that if black people weren't being lynched in the early part of the 20th century, that Billie Holiday would have came out with the song called Strange Fruit if that wasn't happening? You see what I'm saying? So you're not addressing the underlying, the problem. I talked about this, the Temptations and the I lost what is it? What is that song called? I lost my baby or something like that, where they're talking about, the children are playing, the bosses are paying, right? These are happier songs because again, booming economy. You're not gonna get happy-go-lucky songs and positive songs if people's conditions are not that. So if you don't address the underlying condition, you can expect to have songs like that reflect what people are actually going through. What's the next one? And I don't know why I keep stopping like sentence to sentence, but I really want to just lay this shit out. Also, we need to develop a positive self-image that will produce a thriving community that is self-sufficient. Yeah, which means that black men would have to control some form of media where we are promoting an image of ourselves that we want to see, which is what Bill Cosby tried to do, in the 90s. And, there were a number of black people that were like, that's not real. He's a doctor and his wife's a lawyer. That's not real. And, This is a two-parent home. That's not real. So I don't know. That's kind of made me like reevaluate like how much the how much the positive images help black people when there's a lot of black people who are like, that's not real. Like they relate so much to broken homes and dustiness and everything else that it's not real, unless black people are dusty. So because there's not enough people that are actually living like that. Like, so I don't know. Maybe it has to be a gradual promotion. It's just something to think about because I've heard enough of the Cosby Show wasn't real arguments, and that was a positive image. It was just like when Lisa Bonet got pregnant, Bill Cosby was like, Lisa's character on the show, she was like, yeah, you might be pregnant, but what was her name of her character, Huxtable, whatever. He's like, but she's not pregnant. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't about to go out there, and promote that. He's like, no, 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 no. If it was gonna be her being pregnant, she would be married on the show, because Bill Cosby was trying to protect that image. Now I know people they feel some type of way about all this sex scandal and everything, and some people want to argue that they're trying to just destroy Bill Cosby's, image and legacy, and I'm not getting into all that. I'm just saying what he was trying to do with the Cosby Show is exactly what, this woman's bringing up here. My plan is to target the mind, and she has mind in capital letters. Yeah, again, it's always the behavior first. We're going to address behavior. We're not going to address the hardest part, which is the money. So that these systemic issues everywhere is complaining about become less of a problem. Changing the mindset doesn't get rid of systemic issues. You can not be a victim all you want in your head, but if the fucking Klan is showing up at your house and burning, crosses on your lawn, like that's a systemic issue. Or if you're getting redlined or discriminated against in the job markets, that's a systemic issue. Your mindset doesn't change the reality of what is affecting you. For example, if we want to reduce single parent households, as well as poverty, we need to catch black boys before they reach high school, because research shows they begin sexual activity early. I got a major problem with this sentence, because she's like, we need to catch black boys. Why not black girls? We need to catch black boys. And as I've already pointed out, the majority of young black men don't even have kids. The issue with the pregnancy lies with the women, because the women are out here and they're sharing dudes. You got freaking 5 girls getting pregnant for every one dude. The rest of the dudes get ignored. The women are not interested in these guys, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. You know what I mean? But like, I'm not gonna lie. When I was reading this, back in my mind, I was like, bitch, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, how dare you? This is why I recommend black male mentorship must begin, at 6th or 7th grade until completion of high school. First off, I think it needs to begin earlier than that. But again, I've already seen this in the city of Philadelphia. No, the problem is, and this is what I witnessed. Okay, when it comes to mentoring boys, everybody wants to deal with the kindergartners and the small children, right? Because they're impressionable. That shit doesn't cost anything. Nobody wants to deal with the 15, 16, and 17-year-olds that are about to be thrust into the real world in the next couple of years. Nobody wants to deal with that. And I'm like, you need to deal with that. That's the bottleneck. Because those are the little niggas that's going to be running around, with, carjacking and got the Glock in your face if you don't create any economic opportunities for them. If you have nothing for them to walk into, those are the ones you got to worry about. You don't got to worry about the 4-year-olds and everything. Oh, we're taking them to the zoo. Yeah, so the fuck what? Okay? The 15, 16, and 17-year-old black males that don't have any skills are the ones that you need to worry about. And nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody wants to touch them. You know what I mean? And especially the women. I could damn near put hands on the women with their bullshit. Oh, we want to deal with the little boys, but then, they don't want to deal with the 15, 16, year olds. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they act like, oh, I'm training boys. They want to talk all this shit. I'm like, yeah, but you don't want to deal with that upper end. And I'm not even saying that, in certain situations that or all situations they can deal with them, right? Because boys do get rowdy. Boys, there becomes a point where, a woman is no longer going to physically intimidate them, or be able to discipline them. He's sitting there thinking like, I could beat your ass. You know what I mean? So, it's just the whole concept of it is like, there's a what pisses me off about black women. They want to deal with black boys when they're cute, when they're young and cute. But when they get into, they get some size on them and all that other stuff, what I mean? Then they flee, but it's like they still want this reputation, like they care about all, all young black men under the age of 18. Like, I'm like, bullshit. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want to deal with the boys that are not a threat to you. You know what I mean? So, that always irritates the hell out of me. Um, and so, continuing, you may be interested in further study. It says search early sexual debut. This is a book that she's citing, First Intercourse. And there's an old study called Hopelessness and Sexual Risk Behavior Among Adolescent African American Males, in low income communities. And again, the focus is on the boys, because the boys, are the problem, even though the girls are the gatekeepers to sex. Right. And this goes into I could talk about the whole Catherine Eden thing, and what she pointed out. And this is the problem that I have with the single mother homes is, when there's no man present, the boys learn that, or from the women, that they have this intrinsic value, like the women do. Women have intrinsic value, and like she said, when the boy is, what made him a great boyfriend when he was working at McDonald's makes him a terrible father, when he's expected to provide. And there's that switch up that women will do, like once a young lady gets, pregnant, and the guy's like, oh, I had value yesterday, but now I don't have any value. Now I ain't shit. Now I ain't dusty. And then you get into the whole where, black men and black women in poverty, they value marriage from a symbolic like level, from an abstract level. But, for them to both engage in that, it's like, oh, we had the kid, but we're not going to get married until, we get ourselves established. Where like somebody like me who grew up in the suburbs, it's always, no, you get your shit together first, then you get the relationship, then you have the child, after you get married. So because the resources aren't there, and Catherine Eden has a video on YouTube. You can go and you can watch that video, but she talks about the perspectives from both genders. You know what I mean? But already, like, you can see how this woman is all, you got to focus on the men and their evil sexual deviance, right? When again, women are the gatekeepers of sex. When you have a moment, kindly review the strategies below. Strategy number 1, government appeal, right? And again, this is women mentality. Now, I'm not saying that men, shouldn't focus on, the government as taxpayers and all that other stuff, but everything, like, it's like, here's the funny thing. I've heard black women talk out of both sides of their face in regards to this. So when it comes to black men and patriarch, oh, y'all are weak because you're going to the government and y'all ain't getting it out the mud and pulling yourselves up by the bootstraps. That's a sign of weakness, and you're asking white zaddy for help in order for y'all to get on your feet, right? Then on the other side, you have this, which is demand that the government do X, Y, and Z, yada, 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 right? I don't know how much, whether this is like it's being viewed as like, no, like this is a part of the, entire community solution, or whether it's looked at as, you know, you need to go to the government, get this, but like we're not going to have any respect for you, if that's the route that you have to go, type of situation. But anyway, the entertainment industry is poisoning the community. Demand government create a corporate responsibility tax, for the entertainment industry, music, film, etc., where if 30% of the imagery is used and entertainment promotes through language or action, irresponsible sexual behavior, hypersexual content, racial slurs, poverty, hopeless, etc., drug use, violence, these tax dollars have to be invested in black community as grants for education, elementary school resources, post-secondary tuition for degrees, trades for profit, business startups, jobs for ex-cons, home down payment matching, marriage incentives, young childless couples only, financial and slash investment training, etc. All businesses delivering services for this program are black owned. Further, must issue contracts to black owned advertising companies to promote positive black imagery. Um, okay, let's talk about this whole music industry thing. Like this was like attempted before with like I think it was uh, who was who's the Al Gore's wife, with the advisory warnings and all that. They came out with this with like, I think it was like Uncle Luke and NWA, like in the early 90s. They were like, you can't say that on music. That's where all the parental advisory warnings came up. That didn't exist before. Songs like Fuck the Police and all that shit. Like, so, all that attempt to regulate free speech, you're going to have a problem with that. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not, to me, again, this is not addressing the root of the problem. But see, the issue with this is, okay, you give the government the power to do this. And then, okay, let's say a song comes out and it's protesting, I don't know, another situation, like another George Floyd situation. Like, who's the gatekeeper on this? Who's determining what can be said and what can't be said and what should be taxed and what shouldn't be taxed? Like this is really light on details. And like I say all the time, I don't care if the Klan or Nazis or whoever, or Richard Spencer or friggin' Jared Taylor come on and they spew their racism online. I embrace it because for several reasons. Number one, I don't want their speech to be checked, because then when we as black people try to say something, then our speech could be checked. You know what I mean? Like the way that YouTube, remember a couple years ago? I mean, it was like everything on YouTube was hate speech. I mean, shit that wasn't even hate speech, YouTube would be like, oh, it's hate speech. Like it was just a horrible time to make content on YouTube. Like you couldn't even make a video that was anti-Nazi and use the word Nazi, and then like the YouTube algorithms would go crazy and be like, your video promotes Nazism. And it's like, what? Like, where are you getting this shit from? So again, if you try to silence white people and you're talking about free speech, then you're going to end up silencing black people and vice versa. Okay. The other thing is, I love when white people are open and speak on like their racism and whatnot, because it exposes what, again, the greatest tool of white supremacy is the denial of the existence of white supremacy and racism. Most white people who have racial biases, they don't like foaming at the mouth of racism. They like polite racism. They like classist racism. They don't like Ku Klux Klan, foaming at the mouth, throwing around the N word with the heavy R and all that. They don't like that shit. Okay, because then they can't deny its existence, and then it gives validity to black people's grievances. You see, so anytime you're trying to curb free speech, you get into some really sticky territory, and I'd rather not get into that sort of territory. Again, if you're not addressing the underlying conditions, you know what I mean. If Cameron's making a rap song about how like D Ruggs, and how his mom OD'd and all this other stuff, and he's talking about that, or Jim Jones is up there, come home with me, with grandmother's is 30. That line always kills me. Come home with me, right? If he's saying that, he's not promoting grandmothers being 30, but he's like, look, hey, that's where I'm from. You know what I mean? The chicks where I'm from, they had a baby at 15, and then their baby had a baby at 15. Where grandmothers is 30. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's art imitating life. I don't know how you're gonna, put a barometer or a filter or a screen on that, or some sort of governor, not a barometer, a governor. I don't know how you're gonna do that. But if you wanted to approach it, I'd have to agree with Captain Solo. You know, the corporate, the corporate way would be the way to do it. To try to get the corporations and the music labels to promote certain images or incentivize it in some way, as opposed to the negativity. But it's kind of like the 6 o'clock news, where people. The news cycle right now is loving the war in Israel. They're loving that shit because they don't have shit to report about. How many times we're going to hear about Donald Trump, and what's going on with his trial. Now it's like, yes, we got news. What's going on in Gaza? So they're going to be talking about that. So people like negativity. People gravitate towards negativity. We see this online. Even when it came to Fresh and Fit and their ridiculous shit and the Klan shit that they went down, you know what I mean? People who put out, and everybody's experience, you put out a positive video, you put out a video about how to get money, make money, how to form an LLC and have it owned by an S Corp and all this other shit, you don't get no views. But if you go up there and you talk about, the I don't know, something with relationships and this side blaming that side, your views will go up. Your views will definitely go up, talking about that shit. And you can sit there and come up with solution videos. People aren't focused on solutions, and that's a problem with the people. So that's where I would agree with, there is a value issue in regards to that. It's like, why do we focus on negativity? Why do people, tune in to negativity? The next part, this tax should reduce the entertainment industry using black image for a negative / toxic behavior while building wealth in the black community. I'm going to need you to define what toxic behavior is. I can kind of assume what negative behavior is. I think most people would agree with that. But that word toxic, that shit has, way too many meanings, because usually, the word toxic is almost only been used to describe toxic masculinity. Nobody says toxic femininity. Nobody says that. So when I hear women say the word toxic, my ears perk up. Strategy 2, young leaders program, black males only. Program has, and I could get into the whole, what's going on with black women and how they all think they're awesome and they all think they're Michelle Obama and Condoleezza Rice and Oprah and that condescending bullshit that Michelle Obama and Oprah did. Do better. Do better. Do better. You know what I'm saying? That's when I get on my fuck these black bitches type of shit. But anyway, where am I at? The program has no ties to rappers, entertainers, and athletes. This is intentional. Want positive black male role models that will be groomed in the community. The program leverage technology, supplement current education system, academic peer-to-peer learning, where the top black male students tutor underperforming black male students elementary and high school. And this is where black women will say things, that this is where they think that black boys are black women or black men are black women. where they say things like, oh, yes, this should be work because we're going to label it positive. We're going to label it positive, completely ignoring men's motivations. So while she identified, okay, we don't want rappers, we don't want athletes, we don't want all that, but that's what the women want. Like you act like when it comes to this peer-to-peer boys mentoring, the high performing boys mentoring, again, it's already been established that those men don't have any value. They don't have game, fame, money, or looks. They don't have swag. They don't have charisma. You see, men see that. You know, a dude could be a D and an F student. You know what I mean? He's the class clown. He's joking. He got women laughing. Guess whose dick they're sitting on? His. So why is he going to listen to, okay, you got straight A's. Yeah, smarty arts, nigga. Why are they going to listen to him? He ain't got no bitches. He's bitchless. You see, and this is where, like, again, black women will sit there and they'll say, "Oh, these positive. Why are these black males failing? They're just dysfunctional, and why can't they be more like us?" Da 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 da. And they out there fucking and sucking and getting with the dustiest of dudes. You know what I mean? And then turn around and make arguments like this about, like as though these guys have value when clearly they don't even have value to these women. Like they're like, it's like she's stating this as though these high performing males in fucking high school have value, to the vast majority of males. They would have value if they were the ones getting all the bitches. They would have value. You know what I'm saying? Like if black women were running around the community going, "Oh my God, he's a drug dealer. I can't get with him. So what if he has money? I'm going to stand on the very principles and values that this woman espoused at the very beginning of the video." But that's not what black women do. That's not what they do. They go right there and they go, "Oh, let me get in his," because he has things. The drug dealer, the athletes, the entertainers, the rappers, anybody doing negative shit, you all are right motherfucking there because those guys have material wealth. I think you need to have a conversation with your fellow black women as opposed to having a conversation about black men and what they need to do when, again, you're espousing for things that a lot of black women aren't even attracted to. I get real sick and tired of that shit when y'all sit up in here and you fake like you're looking for Black Poindexter and shit. The fuck out of here. I found this part very fucking irritating. And it's the same thing when we talk about single moms. We get these women out here and they want you to mentor their sons and teach their sons to be the very type of nigga that they weren't even looking for when they got with the boy's biological father. They want you to teach the boy to be something that they're not even attracted to. Goal is for the two T's not to fall behind, stay motivated in school, and improve. What is this? Improve opportunities for future success. Tutors will develop skills that can be marketed for employment. Marketed to who? Marketed to who? To the white folks, the white infrastructure, white corporations. Marketed to who? Since we already, we don't have economic opportunities in the black community. For employment and future scholarships. Also, boys are learning to communicate and work together. See, this is where women they do not understand men or men's motivations at all. At all. Oh, sounds great on paper. Yeah, all that should be a goal. It's not a goal. It's not a fucking goal. None of the boys aspire to go down this fucking square route because that don't get them the bitches. A fucking horny 16 to 25-year-old. You know what I mean? Like that's not where their focus is. They're focused. There has to be a connection to, a community where all that stuff is valued, it's appreciated. They can see that in the women that they would be dealing with. They can see that in, the men that they're that actually have, material wealth. It's not just about being a smarty aunts nigga. It's not just about just being smart for the sake of being smart. This is where the drug dealers win all day because they actually have. This is the sad part about the decline of the, the industrious man, and the working man and everything, because when those men were no longer able to support a family and all that, and all you had left was essentially the drug dealers, and then they had, money to blow, money to share, all that other stuff. That's where the women went. That's where the women went. And this is where, the freaking going over the fence, and where black women want to talk about colorism and anti-black womanness and everything else like that. Everything that you just listed in here, has value outside of the black community. The goal is to use 2Ds not to fall behind, stay motivated in school, and improve opportunities for future success. Tutors will develop skills that can be marketed for employment and future scholarship. Also, boys are learning to communicate and work together. You know who would value that? Other races of women, not black women. You know what I mean? And again, y'all act like what young black women are looking for is the same thing that a 36-year-old or 40-year-old black woman is looking for. You know what I mean? Pre-wall black women, oh yeah, they're looking for all of this. You know what I'm saying? But, high school to early 20s looking black, they ain't looking for none of this. They ain't looking for none of this. So, again, y'all are not honest, about, that transition. You all aren't honest about, what you're truly on, as a collective of black women when you're younger. You're not honest about the shit. I mean? You can't sell a young black man, a responsibility, if you tried. And again, if he was even slightly motivated by women, if it were black women, chances are he's going to fall off. He's going to fall off because the standards, the value systems that you want to throw up outside the community are actually conducive to everything that you're suggesting the young black men do. They recognize that. But we still have this matriarchal situation in the black community where a lot of black women don't want to recognize that because they don't believe in hierarchies. They don't want his head getting too big. So they don't want to give, acknowledgement. They write up there, pineapple, you know what I mean? Pineapple. That's what they're doing on dudes that are doing the damn thing. So why would other men, like, men are keen on that. Men are keen on what women are receptive to. And so the ideological rhetoric of older women talking about, fix the community and young men and this, that, and the third, and what you recognize as valuable, as an adult is not what young women are on, and black women are not having those conversations with young black women. Again, you saw the resistance of the young black woman that Ebony Williams was trying to, she was trying to argue with Ebony. Ebony's like, I'm 40, I'm here. I dated the successful dudes. I've been through all of it. I'm telling you that guys are not looking for this. You're not going to dictate to a man what he wants. And she just, she was pushing back, and it's like, she's like, let me finish what I'm saying. I'm telling you. And so, like, even right in there, the respect wasn't there. In that whole interaction on the Breakfast Club, it wasn't there. It was, well, she didn't look at, that woman Ebony had 10 years on her. And it's like, why aren't you listening to what this woman is saying? What is literally right around the corner for you? Okay, you're sitting there thinking like, well, me and my friends, and I think, and I feel, and I believe, like. And again, this is a black woman saying it to another black woman. So you already know, as a black man, we go through hell in trying to suggest the reality or showcase the reality to many of these women. Where are we at? Creating a positive impression, because 2Ts will see black top performing males assisting them. That ain't gonna mean shit if they bitchless. That ain't gonna mean shit. Okay, what you got going on? Do the women see value in you? If the women don't see value in you, well, you must not have value. You know what I mean? And you know what the really sad part is? You know what the really sad? You know where the self-hatred or colorism comes in? When those same black men, that are these top performing, males, the other races of women see value in them. And then it ends up being this situation like, well, if you want to get a white girl, or if you want to get an Asian girl, if you want to get any of these other women, then yeah, if you want to aspire to get with one of those women, yeah, you need to be listening to these guys. But in terms of in the black community, in the inner city, which is the environment that we're supposed to be correcting, okay, black women ain't interested in top performing black males at their high school to even suggest, like as though they are in the overwhelming majority of inner city schools all across America, demonstrates how out of touch you are as a black woman talking about younger black women in the inner city. Continuing, mentorship, virtual mentorship, and this is where I talked about you got to be present. You cannot train boys from a distance. You cannot deal with shit in real time, whether it's dealing with, having to challenge other men in the community that are being disruptive to the training of the boys, having to deal with the matriarch in the community and the disruption or the training of the boys, or the women who only exclusively want to see the boys being taught responsibility devoid of leadership. So you got to address this in real time. Mentorship, virtual mentors, 6th and 7th grade to high school graduation. No, you have to live there. You have to live in the community. You have to be present if you're talking about turning the community around. This fucking motherfucker gonna be in the burbs, trying to have a FaceTime, with some kid in the inner city that probably doesn't even have an iPad to have a fucking FaceTime with. I mean, it's just stupid. Again, yeah, if I'm sure that there is a mother or two, or folks in the inner city, a handful, what I mean, that you get some prominent individual, and they're having a discussion, but it's not going this is not going to work in mass. To sit there, yeah, I'm going to get Robert F. Smith to do a FaceTime with 12 black boys from the inner city, like, that's just like I'm doing this shit for a grade. You know what I mean? I'd rather be outside, popping wheelies on my dirt bike or something like that. Like, it doesn't equate. There's not enough shit going around in the community. They're not seeing, like, in other words, like, here, I'll flip it. Okay. Can black men, FaceTime black women into acting right? You think a bunch of successful black men FaceTiming black women and giving black women advice about what they're looking for while outside the community in the suburbs, half of which are probably married to non-black women, is going to effectively change any behavior in black women? You know what I mean? Like no, they need to every time they turn a corner, they see a brother handling business. You gotta be there. You gotta be there for the girls to see it. You gotta be there for the boys to see it. You know what I mean? And again, the amount of pushback I get on that is retarded. Because real talk, you got a whole bunch of people that they ain't trying to do that, which is fine. But for the people that are always talking about the community, we need to fix the community, and then you don't want to live there, even during the transition, the process of it being fixed, all y'all need to sit down and shut the fuck up. If you can't even envision it being any place that you would want to live, and you want to sit there and talk about, oh, the community, what do you want? So you want the community to be fixed so that we can say that we have a community, but yet you won't be living there during any of the transition, any of the fighting, going back to that documentary, that 2005 documentary, Flag Wars, when all them gay people came into that, I think it was Cleveland, Ohio, you know what I mean? And they had the banks, they had that, I mean, that scene where that banker was in the house, like, let us know what you need. Let us know what you need. And that dude, he was going to work and he was coming to the neighborhood every day, doing the work in the house himself. to have those homes. And the city, they wanted that because they knew, they were like, yeah, if we can get the niggas out of here, then we can have a neighborhood that the white people want to move in, and then those property values will go back up because these are the last brownstones. These are the last Victorian homes with 13-foot ceilings and crown molding. It has the original crown molding, right? Right. That's what white people get down with, right? So yeah, they wanted to get the black people the fuck out of there, and that's why they were hitting them with ordinances, and that was the whole thing with the man and his sign, his Afrocentric sign. They were trying to get the black people the fuck out of there, and they were using the local town ordinances to do. Go ahead, watch the shit. It's called Flag Wars. I think the document is PBS Special 2005. They used to have it on YouTube, like the whole thing, and I don't even know if it's. Let me see if it's still if it's up at all. Let me go on. Let me pull this up. They probably only have clips, but that documentary was deep. He tried to go to the court with his Afrocentric shit. He was like, I'm Chief Papa Lakpa Waka Shango, and the motherfucker didn't give any fucks about him being a Nigerian chief. That shit was so stupid. PBS Flag Wars. Let's see. Yeah, they got a 30-second clip on here. They got a bunch of clips on here, but you gotta watch the full documentary. Let me see real quick. Let me see if I can filter over 20 minutes. Let's see if anything comes up. Nah, nothing comes up. Yeah, it used to be, the whole thing used to be on YouTube, man. I referenced that video so many times. It's not even funny. Okay, so getting back to this. Where is this at? Mentorship virtual mentors 6th or 7th grade to high school graduation. Purpose is to create leaders of tomorrow, improve academic performance, and to improve opportunities of success. Emphasize black positive male role models. Phase out demand of toxic black male role models contained in the media. Again, a lot of that has a great deal to do with black women and girls, because that's what you all are attracted to. And trying to sell any type of ideas of manhood or masculinity that doesn't get the women is going to be a hard sell for boys. That's going to be a hard sell for boys. Y'all can say what you want about drug dealers and all that other shit and Dame Dash. I took the money and I flipped it and whatnot. All those drug dealers, every time they tell stories about how many bitches they fucked, all the bottles they popped, all the parties they threw, the type of car that they were driving, motherfucker got a brand new, it's 1994, and motherfucker got a brand new, what is that? What was that car that was the hot fire back then? I want to say it was like a Nissan 3000. What was that shit called? Y'all know what I'm talking about. What was that shit called? Nissan 3000 ZX. I think that's what it was. Yeah. If you was a nigga in 1993 and you had a Nissan 300 ZX or 300 ZX, not 3000 ZX, 300 ZX, man, nobody could tell you shit. You know what I mean? And you had like the fucking the what did they have on there? Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, you had the BBS wheels on that shit, nigga. Like, nah, nobody could tell you shit. You know what I mean? You was on some paid in full type of shit. Nah, nobody could tell you shit. With the fucking BBS wheels. The fucking ones with the chrome lip and the fucking gold spokes and shit. Man, please. You know what I mean? Please. Come nobody tell you shit. So, again, there's always this ignoring of this. Y'all asking, for there to be men that y'all aren't even attracted to. Goals: develop servant leaders, which Kat was asking me that, and It's like, just basically people who are beholden to the community as opposed to being beholden to corporate interest. Eliminate victim mentality. Yeah, you're going to have to unpack that one. You're going to have to unpack that one. Black people are the victims of white supremacy. This whole concept of like, oh, it's a victim. You have a mentality of being, but they are victims. Redlining, blockbusting, Jim Crow, eminent domain, urban renewal, convict leasing, debt peonage, COINTELPRO, 1994 crime bill. You know what I mean? Like, the list goes on and on. So they kill me with that. Like I said, going back to my video, white America has the black people, they deserve. Promote personal responsibility. See, here we go with the just these two sentences right here, or these 2 points. Eliminate victim mentality. Promote personal responsibility. Thank you, Fox News. Cultivate positive self-image. Which, again, why don't we have a positive self-image? Because of the system of white supremacy. If you don't believe me, go on YouTube and type in Looney Tunes Lazy Town. But black people got a victim mentality when we've been the victims of bullshit like that. Like, see, develop academic excellence. Are you going to be sitting on the cocks of the dudes that are academically excellent? Are we going to ever have that conversation about what your association or affiliation is, or young black women's affiliation is with these men that are academically successful? As opposed to everything always being about black women and their academic success and how awesome they are so they can prepare, to function and operate in a matriarchy. Foster a strong community. Like, all these are just vague as fuck. They're just vague. Like what is this? What do you work for, a nonprofit organization? No bullshit. This is the type of crap that I would hear in the city of Philadelphia. These broad vagalities that these nothing burgers. You know what I mean? Like, this is a nothing burger. And then what is this? Meetup.com. Create chapters in every state. Tuties can meet up once a month in chaperone organized activity. This will develop social skills, a sense of community, and reinforce positive images, seeing other black male learners. No, that's not going to work. First off, with anything that has to do with any sort of apprenticeship or any sort of, bringing young men there. First off, it's not just, this is the bullshit of it all. God damn it, I can't stand this shit. It's not about just, get the boys together and we're going to give them words of encouragement. Okay? Y'all been doing that shit for fucking ever. The boomers have been doing that shit. The Gen Xers are continuing to do that shit. That shit does not work. If the young men cannot equate to whatever it is that you're, teaching them, which, again, none of this is really tied to teaching them anything. It's just, just a bunch of, don't have a victim mentality, promote personal responsibility, and foster a strong community. It's a fucking nothing burger. Okay? What needs to happen is actual training with actual skills that the men can see are going to equate to them having money in their pockets. See, everybody wants black boys to behave a certain way, but nobody wants to break bread with black boys. Okay, you start talking about, other organizations and whatnot, and there's a payment process. There's a payment plan. There's a, people are they're not just walking in there on nothing. Like, these young guys, especially ones coming from single mother homes in the city, they ain't got time to fucking waste. They possibly have to help their mama out with rent and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like this is talk. This is the way this is technically speaking, the way this is written is like, it's written for like suburban black kids that don't even have all the litany of problems that inner city black males have. Like, there's a whole host of problems, problems that I've seen myself, like, teenage black male, not freaking, teenage black male who's going to school, getting ragged on because he stinks because he's not taking a shower, because he didn't go home that night, because his mom is prostituting herself to other men and he doesn't want to be in that environment. Okay, how are you going to address shit like that? You see what I'm saying? Like there's a whole untold number of problems that people have in the city, which is the direct result of poverty, that this doesn't even touch the surface on. It doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. You know what I mean? I'll give you one. One of the things that used to piss me off is when you would have the students, they would come to the school and it's like fucking 28 degrees outside, and the kids got on like two hoodies, right? Because he doesn't have a jacket. He doesn't have a proper winter jacket. He doesn't have proper winter shoes. He's walking around in like basketball shoes, in snow. His feet are freezing, right? Because the family doesn't have the resources. And this is the same thing that and I'll give, Catherine Eden credit, because she pointed this out when she did her video about the black boys, because she has one about the women and why women don't value marriage, and then she's got one about the boys. There's two videos, and at the end of the one without the boys, or it might have been the one without the one for the women. Either one of them, at the end of it, she said, yeah, the government, they come in with all these like programs and everything, but they don't address the underlying issue. They don't address these people's financial situations. And again, all of this is going to stem back to economic opportunities. The problem that we have with the black, you can come up with all the programs you want. You can talk about the Nation of Islam and Allah and white Jesus and the church and being a black Israelite and being out on the corner with your Power Rangers. So you can talk all that dumb shit all you motherfucking want. At the end of the day, there is no economic boom and there are no economic opportunities currently for these young black men. And even in the whole avenue of preparing them, for adulthood and manhood. Again, the black community is still a matriarchy. We don't really support, strong black men that are going to lead and, take responsibility, and those two things being in conjunction with one another. And the skills that folks are talking about teaching, like there's either no practical application in the community when it comes to that, right? Or they'll be like teaching a kid, like, I don't know, fucking lawnmower service, in the inner city. Like, I'll teach you how to fix lawnmowers. Okay, how many people have yards to cut? You know what I mean? Or you want to be, you can, there's white kids, that have started landscaping businesses. You know what I mean? They go and, talk to my dad and spend, $5,000 on one of those lawnmowers that you can actually sit in and some shit like that, right? I don't even know how much they cost, but I imagine they're up there. You know what I mean? And then they go around, get a used trailer, put that bitch on a used trailer, get a bunch of customers. Then next, the next summer they're hiring a bunch of people. They can do that in the suburbs. And then the year after that, they done hired 15 Mexicans, right? They've expanded. You know what I mean? They're doing North Jersey and South Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like the practical application. I'm so tired of people giving lip service to young black men. Like, and there's just like this sense of like everybody wants black men to be fixed, and everybody wants, the problems that spill out of the black community due to black men's dysfunction to not affect them, but they don't really give a fuck. They don't care about what their motivations are, what their desires are, tailoring, any sort of training or anything to what their goals are. Like, hey man, what are you trying to do? Like, what are you interested in? Like, nobody cares. They just want a bunch of well-behaved black boys, just operate as these like fucking, concu-serfs, as Dr. T. Hassan Johnson likes to call them. Like that's all they are. And then again, when it comes to black women, again, we don't have conversations about the matriarchy. We don't have conversation about the gynocracy, feminism, none of this stuff. And like I said, even if magically everything in here, all the training, let's say all the young black men went for it and all that other stuff, by the end of it, because of the way the things are in the gender war and the gender dynamics in the black community, damn near the vast majority of those young men would find themselves over the fence. Because if they went through all that and they did all that and they have the self-respect, for themselves, and they know their worth and all that other shit, they ain't gonna want to deal with sisters. They're not. They're not gonna want to deal with the matriarchy. They're not gonna want to deal with the attitudes and the belligerence and the beliefs that the women have that they should be running shit, and all this compromise bullshit. Sell your manhood at a discount stuff that black women try to present. You know what I mean? Like they like I don't really think black women understand that. They really don't understand that. And again, everything is framed, towards this: black men are the problem. Black men are the problem. Black women's lack of cooperation, black women's, even, the way that we have these, different populations of women, the women, pre, I'd say 27 years old versus post 27 years old, and how, I mean, literally, it's like a complete switch in terms of, what they want and what they find attractive. Okay, what a black woman wants up until 27 is completely different than what a black woman wants after 27. And there's zero invest. They just I'm old now. I want it. I'm 31 now. I want the nigga making six figures in corporate America and all this other shit. And there's no. I'm like, black women are 50 fucking percent of the community, and there's no incorporation. It's like what they used to do with like the black boule, where they used to have like those, what the fuck were those damn things called? Like the links, you had them, and what was the other one? What was the other one? The damn, what was that damn society? I can't think of what the bougie black society is, but you seen them, like them balls, them white, them those white gown balls, where they would have like, the guys on one side and the girls on one side, and they were like, the children of the bougie black people and shit like that. Like, there just doesn't seem to be, and I've said this numerous times, the black men and black women have two different cultures. There doesn't seem to be the whole concept of black men being responsible, getting their shit together, focusing on academia and everything, and the type of man that would create is not in concert or in line with the strong, independent, diva queen, boss bae shit that black women are on. Like, black women talk about that, yeah, the men, they need to catch up and they need to get on my level and everything. And again, Ebony K. Williams, if a dude is broke, she's gonna be in LA. If a dude has a free trip to fucking France, a 2-week vacation to France, she's still gonna be in LA. So and I've talked about this with Cap at nausea about how, I'm like, the women are important, and what the women are on is important, because all you're going to do is produce black men that at some point they're going to sit there and they're going to do the social math, and they're going to say, hey man, black women ain't it. Even if you get them there, even if they focus on the academia and everything else, because you can't do anything with that with the current black female population. Even if you are kick-ass black, you can't do anything with them. And I'm not saying, let me emphasize, I'm not talking about all women. I'm talking about the majority of them. When you got like your for Harriets, what I mean, what could a black man has got a shit together do with a for Harriet? What could a black man has got a shit together do with Ebony K. Williams? What could a black man has got a shit together do with a Aisha K. Faines, right? R.I.P. Right? What could a black man? Women love power. When Carl, I love that clip, man. When Carl, was he was like, well, it sounds to me like you need to be with a subservient man. I don't date nothing but powerful man. I mean, she lost it. She lost it. Yeah, because y'all want the validation of a man in that position, but you don't want what comes with that. And y'all need to be honest about that. Y'all complain about Dusties, but Dusties are what move you. All we got to do is look around at the community. Majority of you all are not getting pregnant and knocked up by the very type of men that she described in this video. You're not. Y'all not. Y'all not interested in that pop. They don't move you like that. Oh, it's great. Oh, they look good on paper and everything, but they don't move you like that. You again, anybody can go to school and get an education, but you can't teach personality. You can't teach a dude to have the riz and be funny and witty and all that. You can't teach that. He either has it or it's either in his deck of cards of personality or it's not. And then, again, quiet as is kept, like, any guy, guys develop that because they're not focused on academia. The guys that are focused on academia, they're in the library, they're not socializing, they're not going to parties. There's very few people that have that type of balance. Most people, they put all their eggs in one basket. And that's just what the reality is. The dudes that are swagnificent, got a whole bunch of game, tend to not have their shit together. The dudes that are academically sound and they got into MIT and all that other stuff, they tend to have very dry and bland personalities. It's what it is. You know what I mean? But again, like when it comes to black women, like, y'all say that you want a community to look like, other communities, you know what I mean? But y'all ain't linking up with those guys. Y'all ain't even trying to, you're not making those guys, a priority. And you just end up with this slow leak of, a brain drain, and now it's just gotten so bad to where, guys are generally writing off sisters. They're like, nah, I'm good. And social media is not helping you. All these videos exposing women, what they really think and the numbers that they throw out there and how they're, allergic. They're like, did you say I chill, submission, I chill. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, God damn, what are you, allergic to that word or something like that? But then it turns into I want the myth of white womanhood and be put on a pedestal and I want the community fixed, but I'm not going to live there. I'm going to be over here on some bougie shit over in the white community. Like, you know what I mean? So, and again, I think there's an inferiority complex in terms of being black. I think there's an inferiority complex of the black community existing in the state that it's existing and being black, even if you're not a part of it and you don't live there. You know what I mean? I'm not sensing, a real genuine concern because you want to be a part of some sort of intact patriarchal community. I don't get that sense, but like I said, I know some people are already going to write in the comment section. They're like, the black community is done. It's over, Pete. It's this, that, and the third, and it may very well be. But like I said, the focus is always on black male sexual deviance. The programs for black boys completely ignore, black male motivations. Like nobody cares, nor nobody asks or wants to know. And a lot of times it's just this big fat nothing burger. It's just these vague generalities, these empty platitudes. Get rid of your victim mentality and personal responsibility. Just empty platitudes, meaningless stuff. And like nothing in there, but oh yes, we need jobs. Yeah, duh. We need careers. Yeah, duh. But the actual mechanics on that, somebody was like to detail that, to say, hey, I think we should contact the president of Ghana and talk about, what factories we could bring over there to produce X, Y, and Z goods and services, and then over the next 20 years have them imported into the United States, and then sell them and compete with Amazon or some other shit like that, and have a global distribution. No, ain't nobody talking like that. Well, so African Americans will take it on the logistic end, and the Africans, and this will improve their quality of life, and they'll take care of it on the labor end. You know what I mean? Until they're in a better position, right? Because there's a lot of access to resources and things that African Americans have that the general population of Africa doesn't have. But then you get into the whole, well, are we operating through capitalism? Are we exploiting other people? Like, what are we doing? Like what's going on? Are we exploiting Africans? You know what I mean? Then Africans, they have their own superiority complex over African Americans because all they see is the negative shit that they see in the media. 2 Chainz, that's all. So you have that to contend with. I mean, look at all the sideways shit that you hear from Burner Boy and Akon and all this other shit, all that low key. Well, they don't have a culture. They don't know who they are. They don't even have their own last names. All that shit. So I don't know. How to get to putting money in the hands of black men, but it starts there. Once you put money in the hands of young black men, then they can make plans. They can do things. They can lay their shit out. You know what I mean? They can say, yeah, I want to take the money. I'm gonna do this. I'm actually gonna fix that. Because I got the resources to do it. Yeah, I want to lay it out, make it look real nice, for my family and my kids and this and that. Again, like I said, there's a difference between men who won't do something versus men who can't do something. Just because a man can't do something doesn't mean that he wouldn't if he actually had the fucking resources. I can't stand that fucking assumption of people thinking that just a motherfucker who can't won't. Like, you don't know what he'll do until we get resources in his hand. So like I said, I'm not a fan of women coming up with any program for black boys because they don't understand, the motivations. And it's like, well, what would you have black women do? Be supportive in the ways that you can, and generally speaking, stay the fuck out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Don't come in there, trying to tweak things like, oh no, I see too much patriarchy. Don't be coming in there trying to tweak things. And again, I've ran into that problem. The biggest issue when it comes to training black boys and giving black boys guidance is so much of the community, and primarily black women and a lot of the Gen X black men and the boomers, black male boomers, they don't catch this. I'm like, what y'all are trying to do is y'all are trying to teach these boys responsibility and nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even take into consideration what their goals and aspirations are, how they trying to live, what they trying to do, and catering to that and using that to motivate them to get to, the next level, showing them, that this actually translates to you getting money, having money, and being able to do things. There's too many people out here trying to compete with young men. There's too many people trying to fuck young women and not trying to put young men on, because a young man that's got money, he'll run circles around an older dude, that has money. You know what I mean? So you end up with that type of bullshit that goes on. And that's something that we don't talk about enough, when it comes to some of these, older black men that, they want to look like, look at all these young men I'm mentoring, but I ain't really putting any of them on. You know what I mean? Because since I didn't have shit when I was in my early 20s, they ain't gonna have more than what the fuck I had. There's a lot of that goes on that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? So, for me, like, I'm jaded as fuck when it comes to people talking about mentoring black boys because I've been there. And it was a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors and a whole bunch of bullshit and a whole bunch of like just we want you to be, well-behaved prisoners, like that type of shit. And I'm like, the drug dealers, they come down and they got everything these men. They're like, man, how do I get money? Like, I remember when Tariq made a video talking about this, where he was, he felt some type of way because, he was in the streets at the time, and he went to a drive-through to get some fast food late at night, and it was a young guy, and the guy seen him, and he was like, damn, man, what? He's like, nigga, what do you do? You see, men are motivated, young men are motivated by what the fuck they see. It's not that they're not motivated, you know what I mean? But everybody keeps coming at them with some shit that doesn't get any fucking respect, doesn't give them any fucking power. You know what I mean? Doesn't give them ownership of everything. Doesn't change their economic position, their circumstance. They can't move out of their mama's house and shit like that. And then they want them to somehow be inspired to go out here and get with a black woman that's got more than what they got going on. Like, fuck the community at that point. And I mean that. Fuck the community at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, do what you gotta do. Go out here and just be selfish, nigga, because there ain't nothing. There's nothing out here for you. There ain't nothing out here for you. With the type of these type of conversations and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? The most advice I can tell you is, get money as early as possible as a young man and get yourself established and do what you gotta do. Because everybody else they're talking bullshit. They're blowing smoke up your ass. They don't have shit to offer you. And I'm saying, you already know this. You already know they talking about they rules and respect and everything else. They ain't offering shit that's going to change your life or change your circumstance. Fuck them. That's my attitude. It's unfortunate. I wish, we had some better shit going on for a lot of you younger guys. But real talk, again, as a millennial, again, I went through it. I was there. There wasn't shit for me. I'm sitting there thinking, somebody's going to put me under, and they're just talking. They're just talking. They ain't putting you on. You know what I mean? They feel some type of way because they don't want to see you have more than what they had when they were your age. It's fucked up. And then the women, it's all, matriarchy and again, when you actually get it, then they feel some type of way. They feel some type of way when you're ahead of them. They feel some type of way when you got money. They feel some type of way, when you don't have to put up with their weight and attitudes and kids that they got by somebody. They feel some type of way because they've been told that they're better than you. They've been told that they are, just everything wonderful in the black community. Again, you see it in this piece that was written. Where the focus is all the sexual deviances on black males, when the vast majority of them are not in relationships, vast majority of them don't have any kids, right? And black girls and women have more babies than black men do. And there's 2 million more black women. Yeah, what did I say the numbers were when I did the numbers? I think it was like 8 million. Black men have like 8 million kids, and black women have like 10 million kids, and there's 2 million more black women. Again, they're sharing dudes. They're sharing the men that they actually want, and the vast majority of these men that they actually want are not men that are kicking ass in academia. Academia in of itself doesn't have any value unless it can materialize into being gainfully employed and actually having things. And then that's when you see all these women switch up, at 31, and they're talking about, I want a high value man and making six figures and everything else like that. And you see how many of those women called in Kevin Samuel's show with kids that they already had by somebody else. You got a whole bunch of women that shouldn't even be on the dating market. So anyway, I'm done. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. And, like I said, don't take it personally, but nah, that commentary, once I actually read what you wrote, that shit pissed me off. There's a lot of things in there that just irritated me, the way it was phrased. And the lack of details, the lack of understanding male motivations. I hate women fucking coming out, trying to come up with things for men because they fuck it up. They fuck it up. They do not understand men enough, and why would they? Because again, the matriarchy, the gynocracy. They just look at us like we're defective girls. Our considerations or our viewpoint is not taken into consideration. So they don't have a clue. They're just like, why don't you all just do the right thing? That type of shit. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe.